Alright, let's talk about something that might sound a bit boring at first, software bugs. But wait, these aren't just little glitches on your phone or a typo in an email. These are the kind of bugs that can bring down entire systems, cause real-world disasters, and even cost lives. Imagine if a single line of code could make a plane crash or shut down a power grid. That's not science fiction. It's history. Software bugs have been around since the dawn of computing, but their impact has only grown as our reliance on technology increases. Think about how much of your daily life depends on software, your phone, your car, even your fridge. If something goes wrong in that code, the consequences can be massive. And yet, many people still underestimate just how serious these bugs can be. So why do these bugs happen? Well, it's not always about incompetence or laziness. Sometimes, they're the result of complex systems where a small mistake can have a ripple effect across thousands of lines of code. Other times, it's due to human error, like a programmer who misses a single character in a command or overlooks a critical edge case. But regardless of the cause, the cost is real and often devastating. The importance of quality assurance and testing cannot be overstated. These are not just steps in the development process. They're essential safeguards that can prevent disasters before they happen. Testing isn't about finding every bug. It's about identifying the ones that matter most and ensuring your software is as reliable as it needs to be. In this video, we'll dive into some of history's worst software bugs, those that changed everything for the worse. We'll explore how these mistakes happened, what they cost, and why learning from them is crucial for anyone working in tech today. So buckle up, because things are about to get interesting. Alright, let's talk about a machine that was supposed to save lives but ended up causing some serious harm. Meet the Therac-25, a radiation therapy device designed to treat cancer patients by delivering precise doses of radiation. Sounds like a good idea, right? Well, it turned out to be one of the most infamous examples of how bad software design can lead to tragic consequences. The problem wasn't with the machine itself, it was with the software that controlled it. The Therac-25 was developed in the 1980s by a company called Atomic Energy of Canada Limited, or AECL for short. It was meant to be a cutting-edge piece of medical technology, capable of delivering high doses of radiation to tumors while minimizing damage to healthy tissue. But here's where things went wrong. The software that ran the machine had some serious flaws. These bugs were so subtle and hard to detect that they remained hidden for years, leading to multiple incidents where patients received massive overdoses of radiation. Now, you might be thinking, how could a computer make such a mistake? Well, it wasn't the computer's fault per se, it was the software engineers who wrote the code. The Therac-25 used a system called software interrupts to handle certain operations, and these were poorly designed. In one case, if the machine detected an error in the radiation delivery process, it would trigger a safety mechanism that should have stopped the treatment. But due to a software bug, this safety feature sometimes failed to activate, allowing the machine to continue delivering dangerous levels of radiation. The consequences were devastating. Patients who used the Therac-25 began experiencing severe side effects, including burns, organ failure, and even death. One patient, in particular, received a dose so high that it was equivalent to 100 times the lethal dose for humans. The machine had been operating correctly just moments before, but due to a software error, it delivered an overdose without any warning or indication. It's like having a kitchen appliance that suddenly starts burning your house down because of a typo in its instructions. What made this situation even worse was that the software bugs were not easily detectable during testing. The Therac-25 had multiple safety checks built into its system, but these checks were not foolproof. In some cases, the machine would deliver radiation doses correctly under normal conditions, but when certain sequences of events occurred, like a specific combination of button presses or timing issues, the software would fail catastrophically. This meant that even trained medical professionals couldn't always predict or prevent the errors, making it extremely dangerous for patients to rely on the device without constant monitoring. Alright, let's talk about one of the most infamous software bugs in history. It wasn't a fancy virus or a hacker attack. It was something far simpler. A unit conversion error. Picture this. NASA is preparing to send a spacecraft called the Mars Climate Orbiter on a mission to study the Martian atmosphere. The orbiter is packed with cutting-edge technology, and everyone involved is confident it's going to work perfectly. But then, just as it's about to enter orbit around Mars, something goes terribly wrong. The orbiter crashes into the planet's atmosphere, and NASA loses $125 million in the process. What could have possibly gone so wrong? Well, let's break it down. The problem started with a simple mistake. One team used imperial units like pounds force, while another team used metric units like newtons. The kind of thing you might think is obvious, like using inches instead of centimeters when measuring something important. But in this case, the error wasn't just a minor oversight. It was a critical miscalculation that affected the spacecraft's trajectory. The software controlling the orbiter was programmed to expect metric units, but the data coming from another part of the mission was in imperial units. So instead of going into orbit around Mars, the orbiter hit the atmosphere at 360 times the speed it should have and burned up. Now, you might be thinking, wait, that's just a unit conversion error. How bad could it really be? But here's the kicker. This mistake wasn't caught during testing. It was supposed to be a simple oversight, but in the world of space exploration, even the smallest detail can have massive consequences. The software teams were working on different parts of the mission, and they didn't communicate clearly enough about which units they were using. This lack of coordination led to a disaster that could have been avoided with just a little more attention to detail. This incident serves as a powerful reminder of how critical it is to maintain consistency in software development. When working on complex systems like spacecraft, every line of code matters. A single mistake can lead to catastrophic failures, and the cost isn't just financial. It's also about the lives and careers of the people involved. The Mars Climate Orbiter mishap taught NASA, and the entire tech industry, a valuable lesson. Communication is key, and unit conversions are not something you should take for granted. So next time you're working on a project, whether it's coding a simple app or planning a space mission, remember this story. A small mistake can have huge consequences, and sometimes the most dangerous bugs aren't even bugs at all. They're just plain old human errors. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone says, it's just a unit conversion, make sure to ask, which units? Because I'm pretty sure we're not on the same page here. Alright, let's talk about one of the most expensive software blunders in history. In 2012, a company called Knight Capital Group decided to update their trading software. And instead of making things better, it turned into a financial nightmare. The update was supposed to fix some old code, but it accidentally introduced a bug that caused their system to start placing millions of erroneous trades. Imagine if your favorite game suddenly started buying all the items in the store for you, except this wasn't a game. It was Wall Street. The glitch lasted just 15 minutes, but during that time, Knight Capital Group's computers were essentially on autopilot, executing trades at ridiculous rates. They ended up losing over $460 million in that short span. That's like buying a house with all your savings and then finding out you accidentally sold it to a robot. The company had to take a massive loan just to cover the losses, and they were forced to sell their entire business within a year. So what went wrong? A simple software update that somehow got mixed up with another part of the system, leading to chaos. This incident is a prime example of how even the smallest coding mistake can have catastrophic consequences. It's like if your GPS suddenly started telling you to drive into the ocean instead of the highway, except in this case it was billions of dollars worth of stock trading. The lesson here isn't just about software bugs. It's about the importance of testing and having a rollback plan. If you're going to update your code, make sure you know how to undo it if things go sideways. Otherwise, you might end up with more than just a bad day at the office. The Knight Capital Group story also highlights the high-stakes environment of financial trading. Every second counts, and even a tiny error can lead to massive losses. It's like trying to juggle flaming torches while riding a unicycle. Just one misstep, and you're in trouble. The incident led to increased scrutiny on software testing in the finance industry, with companies now implementing stricter protocols to prevent such disasters from happening again. So next time you hear about a software update, remember that it's not just about new features. It's also about potential risks. Whether you're trading stocks or managing your daily tasks, always double-check what changes are being made. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where your computer is acting like a wild animal, maybe take a deep breath and ask yourself, did I really mean to do that? Alright, let's talk about a software bug so bad it literally blew up a rocket. The Ariane 5 rocket, launched in 1996, was supposed to be the future of space travel. But instead, it became a cautionary tale for all engineers everywhere. You see, the problem wasn't with the rocket itself, it was with the software that controlled its flight. And here's where things get really interesting. The bug wasn't even new. It was an old algorithm from a previous rocket model, Ariane 4, which had been retired years earlier. The software in question was responsible for converting data from one format to another, specifically, turning a number into a value that could be used by the rocket's guidance system. The problem? The new rocket was faster and more powerful than its predecessor, so the old algorithm couldn't handle the increased speed. It basically tried to fit a square peg into a round hole, but instead of just getting stuck, it crashed with an error message that no one had ever seen before. Now, you might be thinking, wait, How could such a simple mistake cause a rocket explosion? Well, here's the kicker. The software wasn't designed to handle this kind of data. When the algorithm tried to convert the number, it overflowed, like trying to pour water into a glass that's already full. Instead of just saying, hey, something's wrong, the system crashed and the rocket lost control. In less than a minute, the Ariane 5 was on fire, crashing into the Atlantic Ocean with all its expensive equipment, and no one even knew what happened until they looked at the data. This incident is often cited as one of the most famous software bugs in history because it highlights how critical testing is in systems where failure isn't just inconvenient, it's catastrophic. The lesson here? Don't assume that old code will work on new hardware, especially when you're dealing with something as high stakes as space travel. And if you ever find yourself trying to convert numbers and your system crashes, maybe take a moment to check if the algorithm is still relevant. So next time you're working on a project, remember the Ariane 5. It's not just about writing code, it's about understanding the context in which that code will run. Because one tiny mistake can lead to a disaster that costs millions and leaves a lasting mark on history. And if you ever hear someone say, I'm going to use an old algorithm because it worked before, make sure to remind them that sometimes even the best ideas need a little updating.